help me hit 1,000 subscribers, support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone, thank you. For most of her life, Evelyn Hart believed she understood the shape of love, how it should feel, how it should grow, and how it should carry two people through time like a quiet, steady river. She thought she had chosen right when she married Adrian, the man whose gentle smile once calmed storms inside her. She thought she knew him. She thought the life they built together was strong enough to withstand anything. But love, she would learn, is rarely what we imagine. Sometimes it blooms in the wrong soil, sometimes it fades without warning, and sometimes it breaks the moment you finally see the truth hidden beneath it. The morning everything changed didn't arrive with thunder. It came quietly, like a soft crack in the walls of a house you didn't know was fragile. Evelyn stood in the kitchen, her hands wrapped around a cup of warm tea, the taste dull and comforting. The winter light leaked through the window, landing on the oak table she and Adrian had bought in their first year of marriage. It still had the faint scratches from when they attempted to assemble it without instructions, laughing until they fell breathless. But that laughter felt like it belonged to strangers now. Adrian walked in, dressed for work, tie neat, hair brushed back with the same precision he brought to everything. His face held a quiet tension she had been noticing for months, something restrained, hidden behind polite smiles and tired eyes. "Morning," he said softly. She answered with the same word, yet it carried a weight hers didn't. Something in his tone made her chest tighten, as if her heart sensed what her mind refused to accept. As he grabbed his coat, he paused. A long, still pause. "Evelyn," he said, and her name sounded fragile on his tongue. "We should talk later tonight." Her stomach dropped. Conversations that start like that rarely end gently. "About what?" she asked, trying to steady her voice. He hesitated, and hesitation is sometimes an answer in itself. "Just us." The word us trembled, as if he didn't know whether it still belonged to them. Before she could say more, he gave a faint, distant smile, the kind you give a memory, not a person, and walked toward the door. She watched him leave. And something inside her cracked so quietly she almost didn't hear it. Yet the breaking wasn't because she feared losing him. It was because, in that single moment, she realized something she had been avoiding for far too long. She had been lonely beside him for years. She just didn't want to admit it. Evelyn placed the teacup down, her hands trembling. Her mind reached back through the years, trying to understand where love had slipped away. She remembered how Adrian used to pull her into his arms after long days, how they used to talk about dreams with the kind of hope only young hearts carry. She remembered driving with the windows down, his hand on hers, music loud, future glowing. But somewhere along the way, the warmth became routine, the routine became distance, and the distance became silence. They stopped asking about each other's days. Stopped sharing small joys. Stopped laughing the way they once did. Still, she held on, because people don't walk away from vows so easily. And she believed love could return if she waited long enough. But watching his silhouette fade through the frosted glass door, she finally felt the truth sharp against her ribs. She wasn't afraid of losing him. She was afraid of admitting she no longer recognized the man she once loved. All day, her thoughts circled. She moved through the hours like a ghost inside her own life. At work, she typed without reading, nodded without listening, smiled without meaning it. Her coworkers noticed the emptiness in her expression, but kindness from others only made the ache sharper. As evening approached, Evelyn returned home to a silence that felt too wide, too hollow. She sat on the edge of the sofa, fingers twisting the hem of her sweater, waiting for the sound of Adrian's keys in the door. When it finally came, it echoed through the house like a verdict. He walked in quietly, took off his shoes quietly, everything about him was quiet. Except his eyes. They held something final, something she wasn't ready for but somehow already understood. "Evelyn," he began, voice soft, "we can't keep pretending we're happy." Her breath caught. Not because she didn't know this. But because hearing it aloud felt like watching a bridge collapse that she had been trying to repair alone. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The room felt smaller, as if the walls were listening. Evelyn stared at Adrian, searching for a sign that he was unsure, conflicted, anything. But his expression was calm, painful, resigned, and that calmness stabbed deeper than anger ever could. "How long have you felt this way?" she asked quietly. Her voice didn't shake, it simply sounded tired. "A long time," he whispered. "Longer than I wanted to admit." The honesty hit her like cold water. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to hold together the parts of her that suddenly felt loose. "So you didn't think we could fix it?" He looked away. "I tried. We both did, in our own ways. But we've been drifting for years, Evie." Evie. A name he hadn't called her in months. Its sudden return felt like a farewell gesture, not affection. "I thought love could come back if we kept choosing each other," she said. This time, his eyes softened in a way that made her chest ache. "You chose," he said gently. "I stopped knowing how." The admission sliced clean through her. She had always sensed it, those quiet dinners, the conversations that ended before they began, the way he kissed her forehead instead of her mouth. But sensing something and hearing it spoken into reality were two different wounds. When Adrian spoke again, his voice wavered. "I don't want to hurt you. You deserve someone who sees you the way you need to be seen. And I haven't been that person in a long time." She swallowed hard. "Then why did you stay?" He hesitated. Then came the truth he had been carrying like a stone in his throat. "Because I didn't want to be the one who broke you." Her eyes filled, not with anger, but with an ache so deep it felt ancient. "I was already breaking, Adrian." Just quietly. That was the moment something inside both of them shifted. He sat down across from her, hands clasped tightly, knuckles pale. "We became two people surviving beside each other instead of loving each other," he said. "And you deserve more than that." She closed her eyes. Deserve. Such a heavy word. Such an honest one. When she opened them again, she saw a truth she had been avoiding for years. He wasn't the villain. And she wasn't the victim. They were simply two people who loved each other once. And then time, life, silence, and unspoken fears carved a distance neither knew how to cross. "Are you leaving tonight?" she asked, each word brittle. He nodded slowly, regret carving lines into his face. "I packed earlier. I'll stay with a friend until I figure things out. I didn't want to blindside you, but I didn't want to keep pretending we were okay." Her heart stuttered. Pretending. Such a subtle, destructive thing. Evelyn rose to her feet without knowing why. She walked to the window, watching the night press against the glass. Streetlights glowed like lonely candles. For years, she believed their love was simply going through a difficult winter. She never imagined it was already spring for one of them, new feelings, new realizations, and still winter for the other. When she finally turned around, Adrian was standing, coat in hand. He looked like a man already halfway gone. "Can I ask you something?" she whispered. He nodded. "When did you stop loving me?" The question hung in the air, trembling. He stepped closer but didn't reach for her, perhaps out of respect, or guilt, or fear of offering comfort he no longer felt. "I didn't stop loving you," he said quietly. "But the love changed, until it didn't feel like the kind that keeps two people together." A tear slipped down her cheek. She didn't wipe it. "That's still losing it," she whispered. He lowered his head. "I'm sorry." And that was the hardest part. Because she believed him. And forgiveness, in that moment, hurt more than anger ever could. He moved toward the door, and with every step, she felt something inside her collapsing, the last fragile image of the future she once imagined. When he finally reached the threshold, he hesitated, as if wanting to say something else, something meaningful, something that could wrap this ending in softer cloth. But some closures arrive without poetry. Sometimes the silence is the final line. He opened the door. Cold air whispered into the room. And Evelyn watched the man she once believed she'd grow old with walk away. Not with cruelty. Not with betrayal. But with a quiet sadness that told her this ending wasn't about right or wrong. It was simply time. When the door clicked shut, the house felt impossibly still. She stood there, breathing in the emptiness, letting grief settle in her bones. But beneath the ache, there was something else. A faint, unfamiliar lightness. A beginning disguised as an ending. She whispered to the silence. I thought I loved him. But maybe I loved the memory of us more. And for the first time in years, she felt the truth shape itself inside her chest. Sometimes a heart breaks not to destroy you, but to free you.